The following is a set of stretching exercises. We start standing with the legs about shoulder width apart, bending the knees slightly and trying to keep that pose throughout the entire warm-up. And then we move to stretching the neck, going up and down, gently stretching, never going beyond the limit of what feels comfortable, just allowing the repetition to warm up the muscles and open them up. And as you do that, it's going to allow a greater range of motion. Once completed with up and down, you can do 3 to 5 times. I'm going to start to stretch right and left. Same principle, moving slowly, feeling the limitations and not surpassing them, allowing the repetition to warm the muscles up and slightly increase the range of motion if possible. The next part of this set would be to stretch the top of the head. The next part of this set would be to stretch the top of the head out and away from the body towards the side. So not just dropping the head down, but rather trying to imagine you are pulling the head away from the body, and then as you inhale and as you exhale, you drop the ear toward the shoulder. Here too, we repeat this several times in each direction, trying to keep the rest of the body pretty much static, not frozen static, but relaxed, and the knees all the time remain slightly bent. This works out the thigh muscles and also is a better pose for the lower back. To conclude this set, we do a few head rolls. Each time you bring the chin to the lower part, you change direction. You can go as fast or as slow as you want, whatever feels right. Next, we're going to move to the shoulders, just rolling the shoulders a few times forward. Slow, full circles, and then moving in the reverse direction, rolling it back. Next, we can try to do one shoulder forward and one backward. If you're not used to that, it may require some coordination, but it's kind of a nice way to open the shoulders a bit more. Next, we're going to move to open the chest and the arms. So we're rolling the palms forward and up, and then inward and down, and allowing that movement to affect the entire upper body. I always imagine that as opening a can of sardines. As you roll the hands, the palms up, and the body opens up, and then as you roll inward to close it. Just a few times in each direction. Next, we're going to try to reach out from each direction. Now notice that not so much reaching the arm out, we do that too, but we're also pushing the hip in the opposite direction. So there's this extension we're creating along that axis. And sometimes I would feel like my shoulder pops out a bit when I do this exercise. Next, we're going to do a side stretch. So grabbing the thumb of the arm, you're stretching with the other hand and you're pulling it out, and then switching to the other side. Here too, there's the pushing of the hip in the opposite direction of the movement. A few times in each direction. It's really a nice side stretch. Next, we're going to move into a Qigong, which is moving knees towards toes to create a rotational movement in the waist area, and then allow that to carry into the torso, into the upper body, and then allowing the arms just to fly freely. I'm going to show it from a couple of different angles. And as you can see, the hands just are like strings connected to the center of the body, not moving on their own, but just because of the body movement. And the lower arm is tapping against the kidney area, and the upper arm is tapping against the opposite shoulder blade. So a few moments of this sort of rotational movement really wakes up the entire upper body. The next part would be just to turn the hips a bit, the waist, warming up that area a bit. And going in the reverse direction. Next, we're going to work on the ankles with a bit of a knee warm up. The knees don't really go in round circles, it's coming more from the hips, but this is really to work out the ankles. If balance is an issue, you can always lean against a chair, sofa, against the wall. Really don't concern yourself too much with balance if that's a challenge for you. The focus here is the ankle. Going one direction, then the other direction. Next, we're going to start to stretch the legs. This can be done in the way I'm showing in this video, with the heel against the floor and the toes pulling in. Some people like to bounce. I don't think it's the healthiest thing. You can do very gentle bouncing. Don't do extreme bouncing, because then you're putting uncontrolled pressure on the muscles, and if they're still sort of like sleepy from the night, you don't want to do that. You can create some tears and some issues. So slow pressure, consistent slow pressure, it would be probably a better approach. Now you can do this again as I'm showing in the video, or you can place your heel on a side of a chair or a sofa or some raised object, and I'll show that in a moment, against the wall. So that's not the way I'm usually doing it, not against the wall, but this is imagining there's a chair or some kind of object. That's going to come in a moment. Actually, so the next part I'm showing here is a calf stretch. You place your the ball of the feet against the wall, or against some kind of the leg of a table or anything like that, and then you lean forward, and that's going to create a really nice calf stretch. It's sort of similar to what we get from a downward facing dog in a certain pose, but this is just in case you want to have it in this position. So this is what I mentioned earlier. This is doing the same stretch we've done earlier. Imagine I'm placing my foot not against the wall, but rather against a sofa or a chair or small table. Next is the optional stretch for the calves. I usually don't do both. I would do either the one I showed earlier with the feet against the wall, or this one. And what you have is the heels are slightly raised from the ground, and you're gently pushing towards the ground, and you're creating a nice calf stretch in this position. So you can pick whichever works for you. The next part is yet another stretch for the legs. You can do this standing in balance. It's actually a yoga pose called the Natarajanasana, or the dancing, or the dancing king, or the dancer. Different names for the same pose. If balance is an issue, as before, I'm going to show that in a moment, you can use the wall to lean against that, or you can place your hand, the front hand, against a chair or any other object for balance. Doing both sides. Don't have to do it for too long, just a few moments. But you try to go deep, so not just holding the posture, even though it doesn't look like I'm moving much. I do, once I get into the pose, try to go slightly deeper, but never surpassing the resistance that I feel. So here, just you can always lean against something if you feel that balance is an issue. From here, there's a few Qigongs I like to do also in the morning. legs are about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. This is just an opening move. And then the move is to collect, and you give it out. And you inhale, and you look slightly down, you collect, and you bring the arms out, spreading the hands to the sides, and you give it away. So this can be just a warm-up, a nice warm-up for the upper body. It can be also a mental one of practice of giving. You collect something good, and then you discard either of that good to others or something negative that you don't want to have. So it can be also sort of a meditative move in that sense. Inhale as you collect, and exhale as you give away. In these Qigong, usually the inhalation is to the nose and the exhalation is to the mouth, but you do whatever works for you. The next one is sort of like a nice back stretch in a diagonal way. So one hand goes up as if you're pushing the sky, the other hand is going down as if you're pushing the ground. I'm going to show it from a different angle. Pushing up and down, opening the space, and this creates a really, really nice, again, diagonal stretch along the back. No need to do it fast, you can take your time. And in terms of count, I do about anything from 6 to 10, usually around 8 of each. The next one, you imagine like you are collecting something and then you're pushing 2 sliding doors to the sides. Notice that my hands do not go full straight. I always keep the elbows slightly bent, not locking the joints. Inhale and exhale. Gives a nice opening to the chest, opening that meridian. Next, it's collecting, bringing up to the chest and then pushing towards the back with the palms facing down. Notice that the knees are always slightly bent, even at the out movement. I keep the knees slightly bent. It may be slightly hard in the beginning because you have to build those muscles up, but these are really good muscles to develop. Next is a set of wrist exercises, starting by placing the hands as if on a table, elbows slightly bent, and shaking the hands on that horizontal level as if you're cleaning the table, but really, really fast, moving the hands right and left in reverse direction. Then you collect and you throw away, collect and throw away, inhale and exhale at the same time. I have a different video that shows this specific set. Inhale and collect. You're trying to throw your fingers out. The count I do here is anything between 15 and 30, usually around the 20-25 movements. Try to relax the wrist as much as you can. You inhale and you throw the fingers out. Then you collect and you bring in and you throw it into the ground. As before, you're keeping your wrist really relaxed. This is great if you work a lot on the computers or have any other sensitivity in the wrist that may develop into carpal tunnel. This is a great way to get rid of it. Next is just hands roll. Here too, we keep the wrist very, very relaxed. The movement here is coming from the upper arms and the elbows, reversing direction, about 20-25. Next one is called shaking the oxtail, as if you're collecting something from the side and you're throwing it forward. Sometimes I describe that as if you're pulling 2 guns and shooting your fingers out, relaxing the wrists. You can also imagine it also a bit like the wheels of the train. Notice how the hands are completely relaxed, but when I'm having them forward, the fingers are almost shooting out. Last one is called chicken fingers or rubber fingers. You're just shaking your hands, and you can do it fast as you want. If you do it really, really fast, the fingers feel like they're made of rubber. And then relaxing the hands down. can practice a bit of Qigong, of internal arts, where you inhale and you imagine the energy rising through your back towards the head, and then as you exhale you bring the hands slightly down. The hands move in a small movement, going in a circle, inhaling, collecting, and in this case I'm finishing with a bow.